this video is about measures of central tendency. So when people talk about the measure of central tendency, the word they typically use is average. But a lot of times average is used to mean different types of measures. So it can be misleading. So we're going to talk about 4 types of measures of central tendency. The first one is the mode, and that is the data item in that set that occurs most frequently. The second one is the median. So if I take my data set and I order it either increasing or decreasing, my median will be the center item or middle piece of data. The mean is what we're used to when we refer to the word average. We're used to hearing the mean is the average where you add up all the data items and divide by how many you have. And the last one we're going to talk about is the mid-range. And the mid-range is simply take the highest value and the lowest value, add them together, and divide by 2. So let's talk about the mode. A data set can have more than one mode. So if something occurs twice and another value occurs twice, then both of those would be modes, and that would be considered bimodal, and we'll make an example of that. So here's my first example. Find the mode of the following measurements. So I have a bunch of measures in cubic centimeters, or cc's, and I see that I have 4 cubic centimeters twice. So in this case, nothing else is repeated, so that means 4 cubic centimeters is my mode. Now if I take that same data set and I add in the front an additional piece of data, I'm going to say 12 cc's. Now we see 12 cc's also appears twice. So in that case, we would have a bimodal set. We would have modes would be 12 cc's and 4 cc's. So now let's talk about what happens if none of them are repeated. In other words, if no data item appears more frequently than any of the others, there is no mode. To find the median, we're going to arrange the data either in ascending order or descending order. So from smallest to largest or largest to smallest, either way, you're going to get the same answer. Locate the middle data item. Well, what if it's even? How do I find the middle? There isn't a number in the middle. So that leads us to 2 cases. One, if it's odd, then we can actually locate a data item in the middle, and that would be my median. But if it's even, then there isn't a single data item in the middle. I take the 2 that are in the middle, add them together, and divide by 2. So let's take a look at an example of finding the median. So here's my directions. Find the median for the following data. And again, I have a list of measurements in cubic centimeters, or cc's. I know my first step is to order them from largest to smallest or smallest to largest. And my next step is to count how many of them there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's odd, so it means I'm going to have a data item right in the middle. So all I have to do is find the middle. Well, here is 3 below, 3 above, so here's my median. So my median is 6.5, and let's put the label back on it, cc's. Let's take a look at a case where we have an even number of data items. So here's another example. This time the measurements are in milligrams, and that means I need to first order them and then find the 2 that are in the middle, add them together, and divide by 2. So let's go ahead and do that. I order them, and I'm kind of in a rut, so I always order from smallest to largest. And I know 8 divided by 2 is 4, so I'm going to have 4 here and 4 here. So my 2 in the middle are right there. So I'm going to have 4 plus 5 equals 9 divided by 2. So I end up with 4.5, and I went ahead and put the label on there, milligram. The next type of central tendency was the mean, and that's the one we're all used to. Add them all up and divide by the number of data items. So here's my example. This time the measurements are in pounds. Find the mean for the following data. So let's see, I have 6. So I'm going to be dividing by 6. So here's another notation that, again, we use that summation sign. It's capital sigma, means add up all the x's, and the data items are considered the x's. N is the number of data items. X with the bar over it, which we call x bar, stands for the mean. So that gives me a nice little formula for how to calculate it. So I'm going to add them all up and divide by 6. I get 105 pounds. Does that make sense? Well, my smallest value was 81. My highest value was 35. So this is somewhere in the middle. What we have left is the mid-range. So to calculate the mid-range of a data set, I'm going to take the lowest value, the highest value, add them together, and divide by 2. So here's our example. It says find the mid-range of the following data. This time my measurements are in grams. We know for the mid-range we have to identify the smallest and the largest. After scanning this, I see that the smallest is 8 and the largest is 15. So I'm going to take 8 and 15 and add it together. Well, 8 plus 15 is 23. 23 divided by 2 is 11.5. So that is my mid-range. Does that make sense? Yeah, my smallest is 8. My largest is 15. This is kind of in the middle. And that is the Measures of Central Tendencies video.